would say that it's a small shop. Everything's handmade. Everybody else seems to have laser welders and CAD CAM. I still do stuff the old, long way. And I tend to pride myself on that. I like the hands-on method.
What do you mean by old, long way?
It's much slower and more laborious to hand carve a wax than have a CAD machine design it and CAM machine carve it, and yeah, it's just I like that I do I create my living using the same methods as goldsmiths have been using for 100 years. I went to college to be a potter, and I ended up transferring my concentration to metal smithing after my sophomore year, and never looked back. Got a job, graduated in December from college. In January I was employed as a jeweler, oddly enough for a guy that studied under the same instructor that I had. My store is very small. Gallery space, maybe 400 square feet of gallery space. I'm huge into vintage. I like a lot of vintage. My cases are vintage cases from the 50s. I have a lot of memorabilia up front from a local apothecary that's no longer here, McGill's Drugstore. And I even have one of their hand-painted glass, reverse-painted signs. That was a little glass memento I got from their place just to honor where I got my cases. And the cabinet and some odds and ends, tape dispenser, stapler. I would say that kind of, I was just constantly from an early age around antiques, which were all about form. So even before I knew what I was looking at, I was seeing different periods and hearing all these words my parents would speak to each other, Shaker and Mission and Art Deco and all this stuff that I was just surrounded with. And mostly I saw it in furniture because that was my parents' expertise. But my dad actually still does, has one of the largest pottery collections of a specific brewery, the West Bend Lithia in Wisconsin. And so he taught me all about the ceramics and advertising and stuff, so I was just immersed with it and was, you know, and then once I was old enough to start working, I was one of the people that would hold stuff up to get sold, so just so many things from various eras passed through my hands. Yeah. The wisdom tooth piece was for a tattoo artist that used to live here that I had made numerous pieces for. That was the second tooth piece I made for this guy. The first tooth piece was from his mini Chihuahua. He had a little Chihuahua dog that was elderly and it had lost a front tooth, and he had saved it, and he decided that he wanted it as a little memento, so I created this setting in white gold for it, and he wears it as a pendant. And then years later he was going through some stuff. He was actually moving out of town and was going through his belongings while he was packing, and came across this wisdom tooth that he'd been carrying around his entire life. And he brought it to me and just kind of said, hey, I have this tooth and I don't know why I'm carrying it around, and I just love to, would you be interested in making something with it? And I was like, of course. So I did, but one thing I did learn during that job that I will never ever do again is I had to use a separating disc to cut the roots off of the tooth to give me a nice flat bottom so I could actually set it. And the smell of a tooth burning is not a smell that I would ever like to subject my nose to again.